Here's something I want to teach you today that will save you a ton of emotional stress and one of the biggest mistakes home buyers can make. How to know before you even step inside whether the home is worth your time, your emotions, and eventually your money. And I'll teach you in 60 seconds or less. The skills I'm going to walk you through today are things that buyers never learn until they made the mistake. But before I give you the framework, let me share a story with you because this just happened recently and it's the reason why I'm making this video. I have two clients that went into escrow on this what looked to be beautiful flipped home. And I mean, this home, it looked incredible. Fresh new paint, new floors, new kitchen, supposedly new electrical, plumbing. It was, from the outside in, it looked great. It was that kind of home that photographs great. When people walk in it, they're like, I want this home. My clients loved it. They fell in love with it. There was no reason why they shouldn't have. It was a perfect home. So we're going through the escrow process. We got the appraisal. We did the inspection. Everything was looking great. And then came the final walkthrough. They're walking through the home. It's the final time they're going to see this home before closing, and they're just excited. And then the wife looks up at the ceiling, it's this fresh coated ceiling, and sees these bubbles. Water bubbling in the paint, that fresh paint. There was just these huge bubbles on this ceiling. They call me, they're, John, what do we do? This is not happening. My response, all right, hold on. Can you take pictures of it? Can I see it? And as they're taking pictures, the wife is walking upstairs and goes into one of the restrooms and flushes the toilet. And all of a sudden, water is seeping out of the base of the toilet. I could hear like a faint, not a scream, but it wasn't good. So this was two separate plumbing failures in a house that just got completely renovated, and frankly, it looked perfect. At that moment, I shared, run, walk away, do not look back. And thank God they did. Here's what I want you to understand about the story. None of those issues were visible at the open house. Neither of them showed up in the staging photos. And remember, this flip, it looked beautiful. But those problems, they were hidden underneath. They were hidden by new drywall, new paint. So that's what today's about, knowing what to look for before you fall in love, and more importantly, before you're committed. And more importantly, before signing on the dotted line, before that problem is now your problem. So let me give you what I call my 60-second red flag framework. These are the 7 things I look at before I walk into a home that gives me the idea of I'll give it some serious consideration, or I'm walking away. Some of these take seconds, some of them a minute, but they're all things you can do without having the knowledge, tools, or even being remotely sophisticated in real estate. You just have to know what you're looking for, so let's go over it one by one. Red flag number 1 is the roof, and this is something you can read from the street. Before you park the car, before you get out, look at the roof. A roof does a really good story on telling you how this home's been maintained before anything else, and it's one of the biggest items that can cost you a buttload of money. So what are you looking for? A sagging ridge line? Well, that's definitely a structural conversation. Missing, curling, uneven shingles, that's definitely a storm or age problem. Dark staining, moss, that's moisture sitting where it probably shouldn't be sitting. And one of the biggest ones, mismatched patches. That's a Band-Aid problem, not a solution. A healthy roof is uniform. Straight lines, clean, consistent. Anything that looks off is a question you need answered before you go further. So a very simple question, when was the roof last replaced? And ask for documentation. If the seller says recently, but they can't provide proof or a permit, well, that's a red flag. Roofs, they're permitted work, and there should be a paper trail. Red flag number 2, foundation and drainage. Look down before you look in. While you're outside, look around the grounds. Does water drain away from the house, or does it drain toward it? Is the soil pulling away from the foundation in a way that it shows it's been dry and contracted? Are there visible cracks in the foundation? And if so, are they vertical hairline cracks, which are due to normal settling, or is it horizontal step-up cracks, which is a completely different conversation? Walk the perimeter of the home before even going in and look at the grade of the landscaping. A good way to do this is check the gutters. Are they working? Are they attached? Are they draining away from the home? Because water, it is the single most destructive force for a home. And most of the time, it becomes a trail before becoming a complete crisis. You just have to be looking. So what should you ask? Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, has this home had any water, drainage, or foundation issues? And is it disclosed? Because in California and most states, sellers are required to disclose known material defects. But known is doing a lot of work in that sentence, and watch how they answer. Red flag number 3, seller motivation and days on market, because numbers, they don't lie. Before you fall in love with the house, do 30 seconds of work and see how long this home's been on the market. Zillow, Redfin, your agent, there's so many tools now that you can actually see how many days on market, and There you can look and see, has the price been reduced? Has it fallen out of escrow? You can tell a lot by looking at the actual sale history of the home. A home that's been on the market for 90 days, especially in an area where homes that are priced right are selling within 30 days, usually it's either overpriced or buyers are walking away from it, and that's something to get a better understanding on before you get emotionally into it. And on the flip side, why is this seller selling? Is it a job relocation? Maybe they need a bigger home. Maybe it's a family estate sale, divorce, or some financial pressure. These are good things to know. By the way, I'm not saying avoid these situations because sometimes these are the best deals out there, but I'm sharing go in with your eyes open. Simple question could be, why is this seller selling and how long they own the property? A seller who owned for less than 2 years and is already leaving, and maybe let's say it's a flat or declining market, a good question is, well, what's changed? Red flag number 4, HOA docs and reserves. It's the hidden payment. That's what I'll call it, the hidden payment. If the home is in an HOA, let's say it's a condo, the HOA docs are going to be one of the most important things that you could read through before making an offer on that condo. Most buyers, they get them, but they never review them. Here's what matters probably the most is the reserve funds. That's the HOA's bank account, their savings account that's going to manage expenses, monthly expenses, ongoing expenses, future expenses. It could be painting the community, could be asphalt, number of different things. But this is the number one thing where we're seeing nightmares that are happening right now because the HOA did not manage their funds correctly. A healthy HOA has about 70% or so of funds available for future expenses and current expenses. An undervalued HOA, and we've seen ones that are bankrupt, have none. And here's the problem. So you might be saying, well, what happens or what does it mean if the HOA is underfunded? So picture this. You've got an HOA. They've got asphalt that is old and crumbling and paint's withering on the walls. And, it's neglected or what we call deferred maintenance. And if they don't have the funds to do it, the only way to get those funds is to do a special assessment where they reach out to each homeowner and say, hey, by the way, we know you're paying your HOA dues, but we're going to be asking for a $15,000 check here in the next quarter because we are underfunded and we need to take care of the community. And as a homeowner, you're like, I'm just squeaking by, like $15,000. I'm trying to make the mortgage payment, pay the food, like utilities. It's not fun. So you want to make sure that whatever HOA you're looking at, that it is well funded, that the life of the HOA is strong. Your lender will be doing this, but it's really, really important. One question you can ask your agent is, what is the current reserve of the HOA? The listing agent most likely will have it, but if it's broken, does not look good, stay away. And if you're buying a condo here in California, there's one big question you want to ask is, and your agent should be asking is, do you have the Senate Bill 326 or what we call SB 326 inspection report? I'm going to go into that on another video because it's a long thing and I don't want to talk about it on this one, but it's really important because that is one thing that can make or break an HOA. Red flag number 5, the insurance quote. Run these numbers before even running any other numbers. This is the one that catches most buyers off guard, especially in states like California, Texas, and Florida. Here's a rule that I give to all our clients before they get emotionally attached to a home. Get an insurance quote first, not after the inspection, not after the appraisal, first. Because in areas where there's fire, floods, natural disasters, insurance premiums have become like a second mortgage payment that no one talked about at the open house. I've seen buyers fall in love with a home, do all their homework, then they get the insurance quote, and that payment makes it completely unworkable. And in some areas, it's not that it's just expensive, it's not even available. There's major carriers that have bailed out of California. If you can't insure it, you can't get a loan on it. If you can't get a loan on it, you can't sell it. So it's not good, which means you're trapped. With our clients that are pre-approved, when they're making offers on homes, we're always advising that they call either their insurance broker or we've got an insurance broker just to get an idea of what that home is looking for. Because you could have one home that's one street down and it's, the insurance is not bad. Then 2 streets down, all of a sudden it becomes a FEMA fire zone and it's like triple. So you just want to do your homework. The best thing you can do is call your insurance broker before if you have a specific home that you like. One thing you can ask the seller, if you can talk to the seller, is, what is your annual premium for insurance on this home? And have you seen it increase rapidly in the last 2 to 3 years? Now, it's a little tougher to do to talk to the seller, but you can ask the agent. That can be a red flag going in. If the insurance is doubled, tripled, that might be something to watch out for. And red flag number 6 for you families out there, what's the school district trajectory? Not just ratings, but direction. And this one really applies whether or not you have kids, because when you do sell in the future, a lot of your buyer pool are going to be families. But here's the nuance that most people miss. It's not just the school's rating, but the trajectory. 5 years ago, and it's slowly been declining, is going to be a different risk than a school district that has a constant 7 over the last few years. It could be declining enrollment, funding cuts, administrative turnover. These are the signals that precede a drop in home values, not the ratings that you see on the search. Greatschools.org, niche.com, these give you snapshots, but they don't really share a trend line. One thing you can ask is, what has the enrollment done over the last few years in the school district, and what's driving that trend? Declining enrollment equals declining funding equals declining quality equals declining home values. That cycle moves slowly, but it usually moves in one direction. And red flag 7, and a very important one, I call it the neighborhood feels, is what's this neighborhood like? What is it telling me? You definitely want to drive the neighborhood, not just the street the home is on. Drive the neighborhood at night, on the weekends. Get a feel for how the neighborhood is. Are people out? Are they outdoors? Are they enjoying it? Are people talking, conversing? If you don't like people, maybe you want a quieter neighborhood. If you like people, you definitely want to have a neighborhood where there's a feel where your kids or you can go out and talk to the neighbors. I think that's really important. There's nothing worse than going into a neighborhood that you don't like to go into. If you're a quiet person and the neighborhood is crazy and loud, probably won't like it. But if you're like me and you like your neighbors and you want to go outside, play pickleball or have the kids play, then you definitely don't want to be in a quiet neighborhood. The other important thing is, what's the investment? Do you see the neighbors investing in their home? Are they upgrading their homes? Are they taking care of their homes? That's going to be really important. That's a driving force of an appreciating asset. If they're letting their homes go, probably not a good thing. And if you really want to go out on a limb, walk the neighborhood. You can say hi to a neighbor and ask them about the neighborhood. If they've been there, how do they like it? What do they like about the neighborhood? What they don't like about their neighborhood? But that can tell a lot. You can ask, how has this neighborhood changed in the last 5 to 7 years, and what's driving it? Because the best intel usually comes from the neighbors that are living in the neighborhood, not the listing agent, not the brochure, not the Google, the neighbor that's been there 10 years. And real quick, I want to go back to that story about my clients that were almost going to buy that flipped home. Flipping homes, it's a legitimate business, and there are great flippers out there that do quality work, and I'm not going to put them in the same brush. But like any business, you need to understand the incentive structure of a flip and why they do it. But the incentive structure of a flip is worth understanding before you buy one. A flipper's goal is to maximize the visual appeal of a home with the lowest possible cost. Because of visual appeal, it's what drives the sales price. New kitchen, new paint, new floors, those things photograph well, and photographs can sell a home. And what that model doesn't always prioritize, and my clients learn the hard way, is what's inside the walls, under the floors, inside the pipes. Water bubbling from fresh, new painted ceilings doesn't happen by accident. That problem probably existed before the renovation, and they just try to squeak it by. So when you're looking at a flip home, make sure that your home inspection is going deeper. I think it's really important. And again, there's really good flippers out there, but there's a lot of bad ones.